So, hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel for another book review. Today we are talking about The Program by Suzanne Young. There are 5 books in this series. I have 4 of them right here. I have The Program, The Treatment, The Epidemic, and The Adjustment. The one that I'm missing is The Remedy, which is the 3rd book in this series. I haven't found it at Barnes & Noble yet, so I'm gonna have to order it off Amazon pretty soon because I'm almost done with The Treatment. But today we're talking about the first one in this series, which is The Program. So I promise I'm gonna make this book review as spoiler free as I can, but it's gonna be kind of hard because I have reread this book about 3 times. In this book we follow our main character Salone, her boyfriend James, her other best friends Miller and Lacey. This cast of characters live in a world where suicide and depression are an epidemic among teenagers, and as a retaliation or a way to fight this, society has created this thing called The Program, where once you start showing signs of depression or mental illness, you go into this program. It takes about 6 weeks, and you come out better. Unfortunately, the program seems to erase the memories of those who go into it, come out not quite remembering who they were beforehand. Although this can be seen as good because they no longer deal with the depression and suicidal thoughts, it's difficult for everyone involved. It's difficult for the teenagers who are losing their friends to this program, and it's difficult for those coming out of it because they don't know who they are, they don't know who they were, they don't know what led them to being in the program, and no one is allowed to tell them anything. When they are taken into the program, their bedrooms are wiped clean, and they end up not going back to the school that they were originally from. They also aren't allowed to have contact with those who haven't been through the program. So those who might know who they were, they aren't allowed to really have contact with them. So with all of that, our 4 main characters really try not to go into the program, which is very, very difficult, especially for Salone and James, because Salone's older brother, Brady, ended up committing suicide. Very closely in the timeline to this novel, I'd say about a year or 2 beforehand. James was Brady's best friend and Salone was his sister. He committed suicide in front of them. They both tried to save him, but they were unable to. Unfortunately, this leads to a very, very bad bout of depression, and unfortunately, due to how the program is run, no one is allowed to really grieve. And if someone around you has committed suicide or someone that you're close to has committed suicide, you are automatically marked as a red flag or a high threat, and you often go into the program a lot sooner. So these 4 kids spend the majority of their days trying to fight it, looking like they're okay, and trying to not bring attention to themselves. Unfortunately, since the majority of them are grieving or do actually have some sort of mental illness, this is very hard. Lacey is the first to get taken into the program, which happens right before this book. The book starts as she's coming back, and her boyfriend Brady, who is Salone and James's best friend, attempts to jog her memory as to who he is. This doesn't work, and unfortunately Brady does end up committing suicide because he doesn't want to live in a world where Lacey isn't and doesn't remember him. He also unfortunately commits suicide because he knows that going into the program will mean that he will not remember James, he will not remember Salone, he will not remember Lacey, and he will not remember anyone. He knows that they're coming for him, and unfortunately he chooses to never go into that. This is actually a common theme throughout this book. Before you go into the program, you do attempt to commit suicide because no one in this realm wants to go into this program. No one willingly wants to go. Every character that we see fights tooth and nail to not go into the program, which I think is a very interesting critique and a very interesting commentary about how teenagers don't have a lot of power, and although they are comprehending what's going on and they can see problems within the world, it's not up to them what happens oftentimes. It's up to their parents. And all of the parents in this story seem to believe that the program is the best, even though there are huge, huge signs that something is not okay. Like, every documentary that goes on about the program isn't actually allowed in the program. They aren't allowed to see anything. So almost immediately after Brady's death, James gets brought into the program. Salone isn't able to help him, isn't able to do anything. She watches him get taken out of her life, and she has to pretend it never happened. She has to pretend like it's okay and that she's alright with everything. She starts going to a place called the Wellness Center and sort of starts to try to be normal. Unfortunately, this doesn't work because when James is brought back into her world, he doesn't remember her and it tears her apart. Her parents turn her into the program shortly after James returns, and she is sent there. There we meet an interesting-ish cast of characters, the main one being a boy named Realm. Now, Realm is supposed to be in the program. He's extremely cheery. In comparison to everyone else that's there, he is extremely cheery, extremely happy for his entire time there, which is about 4 or 5 weeks in comparison to Salome. The one very, very interesting thing that this book does deal with and does very well is seeing how Salome interacts once she realizes that her memories are being taken no matter what she wants to remember and what she's willing to do to keep those memories. So this book really does a great transition from the Salome in the beginning of the story to the Salome that doesn't remember much. And I think that having the really bold, really significant idea of who Salome was before she went into the program and then who she is outside of the program after it, I think that was done really well. In her entire time in the program, I couldn't put the book down. I thought that it was absolutely amazing how this character was being stripped of her memories and how the author did play that in. It was very interesting to see her ask to recall memories and she couldn't. She ended up not being able to remember who James was. She couldn't remember much. All she knows is that something was there. She's supposed to remember someone. She doesn't know who that is. And then by the time that she is released from the program, that memory is no longer a thing. She doesn't even know if she's supposed to remember anyone. Her first day at school, one of her first questions when she gets home was, did I have a boyfriend? Who was I? But her parents don't answer her. I think it's very interesting to see how after the program people still regain their friendships and regain their relationships and who they choose to be friends with after the program. Because oddly enough, there's a lot that has to do with who they were before the program, even if they don't remember themselves. I honestly love this book. I thought it was really, really interesting and a very, very interesting commentary on where we are as a country right now. Depression and suicide rates are at a high, not as high as they are in this book by any stretch of the means, but they are becoming more common for people to hear that they struggle with depression or that someone you know has committed suicide. I overall really enjoyed this book and I strongly recommend it to everyone. I think it's a great little thriller dystopian and kind of a different dystopian than we have seen in the past. I think it's very unique and a very, very good read. I'm going to say I give it 4 out of 5 stars just because the one downfall to this series is that if you read this and you do have depression or you do have suicidal thoughts, it can sort of make you second guess getting help or going to therapy. Please, if you have depression, talk to a doctor. If you have suicidal thoughts, talk to someone. Definitely get help because treatment isn't like it is in this book. Luckily, we don't have the power yet to erase people's memories, so that's an up and something that definitely will not happen to you. I definitely don't want people to be afraid to go get treatment for any mental illness, and that's the one downfall that I see in this book, that it could prevent people from doing that because they are scared of it. But yeah, so I definitely recommend this read as long as you realize that it is a world displaced from ours. Yeah, I thought it was an awesome book. If you have any thoughts about this book, please comment it down below. Tell me what you thought of it or if you want to pick this up. If you want to see more book reviews on this series, please like this video so I know what you guys like to see. And if you want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button or the notification bell button to know when I upload new videos. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!